13.2 factoring trinomial. In this particular video, I'm gonna show you a couple example of factoring trinomials where we got to first factoring out the greatest common factor. All right, so same 5 step doesn't change, but this time if you look at the 3 terms, if you look at my trinomial, I do have a greatest common factor between 2, 12, and 16. I have a greatest common factor 2, so we factor that out, and let's see what's left over in my parentheses. So 2 going to 2 one time, did not take the x squared out, so x squared still in there. 2 going to negative 12 is negative 6 times, did not take x out, so x is left for the second term. 2 going to positive 16 is positive 8 times. Alright, so like I mentioned before, how do you check your answer? Well, you actually don't multiply them out. What you check is check what's inside the parenthesis. So what I see here inside the parenthesis here is actually a true trinomial. So that tells me to factor again. So now with my greatest common factor 2, I write 2 more parentheses, right? Because there's no more greatest common factor. So now I'm just factoring like a trinomial. So step number 2, find all the factor makes the first term and the last term. So what makes 1? That will be 1 and 1. Alright, what makes 8? The factor that makes 8, 1 times 8 and 2 times 4. So starting from the bottom, step number 3, write the factor of the write the factors of the first term at the beginning of the 2 parentheses, write the factor of the last term on the back side of 2 parentheses, 2 and 4. Alright, step number 4, let's make sure our inner and outer combined can give me my middle term. So right now my outer 1 times 4 is 4. My inner 2 times 1 is 2. 4 and 2 combined can give me a 6 in the middle if I do what? If I add. Alright. So when the last sign is positive, it also tells me the choice for the sign is plus plus or minus minus. So that depends on the middle term. Since the middle term is negative, okay, then both my parentheses got to have negative, because both my inner and outer got to be negative. There you go. Put my x in there and I am done. My answer, 2 times x minus 2 times x minus 4. So when it comes to keying in the calculator, make sure you don't key in 1x and 1x, okay? And make sure if you do have a greatest common factor, make sure you key that in as well. Otherwise, the homework will not take those answers without the greatest common factor. Alright, this one here on the right does not have a greatest common factor, but this trinomial is using 2 different variables. So I remember explaining this one time where I can use 2 different kind of variable in my trinomial. It got to go by alphabetical order and go by exponent. So in that case, the x squared term got to be the first. The y squared term always going to be at the very end. So that being said, since I don't have a greatest common factor here, I got 2 parentheses right away. Step number 2, find all the factor of the first term and the last term. So for that 1x squared, that would be 1 and 1. So eventually I'm going to stop writing this 1 and 1. I'm just going to go ahead and put 1 and 1 in the parentheses. Alright. You know what? Let me go ahead and do it now. Alright. Factor of the first term, 1x and 1x. Okay. Last term is 30. What times 1 is 30? Well, normally 2 numbers closest together multiply is 30. We're going to choose 5 and 6. Okay. So that's the first set I will use. There are other sets. If 5 and 6 doesn't work out, then I will use other sets. Alright, let's check our inner and outer combined. Step number 4. My outer is 6. My inner is 5. So 5 and 6 combined will give me my middle term 11 if I do what? If I add. So when the last sign is positive, that tells me that the choice for the sign is positive, positive, or negative, negative. So depends on the middle term. Since my middle term is negative 11, both my inner and outer got to be negative. Therefore, both my parentheses got to be negative. Okay, x squared, 1x squared is the first term, so its factor is going to be 1x and 1x. 30y squared is the last term, so the factor of 30y squared is going to be on the back, so that'll be negative 5y and negative 6y. So all we do is put x back in behind the first term and put the variable y behind the second term. And that's it. X minus 5y times x minus 6y. All right. Let's check this out. All right. See, this problem, my leading term is negative, so I'm going to factor out a negative 2. All right. The greatest common factor is 2, but I'm going to purposely factor out a negative, so that will make my first term to be positive 2x. Negative 2 going to positive 12 is positive 11x. Negative 2 going to negative 48 is positive, sorry, not positive 11, negative 11. That would be positive 24. All right, if I check what's inside the parenthesis, this is a true trinomial, so let's try to factor that. So negative 2 times 2 parentheses. All right, factor of my first term, 1x squared, got to be 1x and 1x. I'm going to go ahead and put my x in there. All right, 24. What times 4 is 24? Closest together is 4 times 6. Okay, so if I put 4 here, 6 here, right now my outer is 6, my inner is 4. Outer 6, inner 4. And my outer 6, inner 4. And 6 and 4 combined will never be 11. All right, so what do I do? Well, initially, I will swap the two backside numbers. So I will write 6 and 4 this way. But when I do my inner and outer, I still end up with 6 and 4. That cannot give me 11. So that tells me that after I swap them, if it doesn't work, that means 4 and 6 does not work. All right, what's the set before 4 and 6? Must be 3 times 8, because 3 times 8 is also 24. So let's try 3 and 8. So now, if I try 3 and 8, as the back side of 2 parentheses, my outer 1 times 8 is 8. My inner 3 times 1 is 3. A and 3 combined can give me 11 if I what? If I add. All right. Since the last sign is positive, the choice for the two sign is plus plus or minus minus minus. The choice for the signs, the choice of signs for the two parentheses got to be plus plus or minus minus. So it depends on my middle term. Since my middle term is negative 11, both my inner and outer got to be negative. Therefore, inside the parenthesis, both of them got to be negative. So my answer, negative 2 times x minus 3 times x minus 8. Oh, before I forget, does this make a difference if I will do negative 2 times x minus 8 times x minus 3? No, this is the same answer as this one because we got exactly the same thing in the parentheses. So that's still the same answer. Okay, commutative property. All right, this one, I believe I do have a greatest common factor of x. I can factor that out. All right, when I factor that out, that should give me x squared plus 14x plus 45. Just factor out the x. So now if I check what's inside the parenthesis, this is a trinomial, so that can be factored. So with the x still up front, 2 parentheses, find all the factor, step number 2, find all the factor, the first term and the last term. So that's 1x squared, so that give me 1x and 1x. 45, what times what is 45? Two number closest together, multiply is 45. That got to be 5 times 9. All right, so that's 5 and 9. My last term is positive, so let's see what my inner and outer is. All right, my outer, 1 times 9 is 9. My inner, 5 times 1 is 5. 9 and 5 combined can give me a 14. It can give me a 14 if I add them. All right? When the last sign is positive, choice for the choice for the signs that are inside the parenthesis is plus plus or minus minus. So since I need a positive 14 as the middle term, both of my parentheses got to be positive because my inner and outer got to be positive in order to end up with a positive 14. So my answer, x times x plus 5 times x plus 9. All right. So after doing all these problems by using the same 5-step, I'm going to be very cautious. You need to be very cautious about taking shortcuts as it comes to learning, as far as using the 5 steps. Okay, because in 13.3 we're going to take a look at trinomials whose leading coefficient is no longer 1. Okay, so when we do those problems, we're still going to follow the same 5-step in the same way how we're going to do the signs. Okay, so these 5 steps does not require you to think too much into it. Okay, it just requires you to basically thinking about all the factor of your last term and the first term, and then do the computation, do the multiplication to see what your inner and outer gonna be in order to get to the middle term. Okay, follow the steps. The steps will eventually make factorial trinomial extremely easy, and most of the time students can just look at them and tell what the answer is. That's eventually what we're trying to get to. All right, that will conclude this lecture video. Thank you for watching.